And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes dropping a couple videos today. Look, let's talk about the market in NBA 2K22 My Team. Now, normally on Sundays, I do drop a, quote unquote, what to expect in 2K video where I try to make predictions for the week and stuff like that. But the thing is, we already know what's coming this time, so there's really no point. And if you haven't watched it already, I did do a video covering the news leak. I think I dropped it on like Wednesday or something. I'll link it at the end of the video if you're curious about it. So, essentially, we already know what we're getting on Friday. We're getting a Dark Matter. We're getting our first packable Dark Matters, which I think is a little bit early. I talked about this already. Those being Kobe, T Mac, and Russell Westbrook. Being the one you will pull 9 out of 10 times will be Russell Westbrook. I can already tell you that's going to be the case. So we're getting our All Star content, and I'll kind of sprinkle in some like what do I expect to see this week throughout the market video. So first things first, let's talk about Limited. Limited is an absolute sweat fest, and the reason for that is because there's all these deluxe packs in there. There's Mystic, Tis the Season, Alter Ego, and New Year's Resolution deluxe packs, in addition to Heat Check deluxe packs, which you're going to get 95% of the time. By the way, these are not the only things that are in here. There's also lots of Heat Check base packs, like Ruby, Sapphire, and Amethyst current Series 1 player packs. There's also like stupid amounts of MT. Like when I say stupid, I don't mean like good. I mean like 250 MT or like a diamond or not a diamond consumable, a gold consumable pack and like badge packs. Like these are not the only prizes in Limited. Just know that, okay? There's also a locker code, level up in My Team. It's kind of hard to get the pack, but you get a diamond shoe boost and like some tokens or something. It's not really great. Now you can get free MT and packs if you grind this Weekend Warrior stuff, but it's a pretty long grind, and it's just like for a Hunt for Glory pack, you're probably just going to get like an Emerald John Wall in, so it doesn't really matter. I do recommend doing the Beyond Level 40 stuff if you can. I'm kind of disappointed with this season because last season, if you remember, when you finished all the behind, I was going to say behind, it's not behind the music or anything. Beyond Level 40 stuff, like you got actual promo packs. This time you're getting like gold contracts, 500 MT, a basketball award pack, and like 5 tokens. Then when you complete it, you get a lockdown defender pack, like a Heat Check deluxe pack here. You're getting 2 Heat Check deluxe packs and a post scorer pack for completing it. So you're not even getting the promos you got last season. Like last season, we were getting promo packs. Usually every Beyond Level 40 step, you got one random weird promo pack, like whether that be an NBA 75 pack or like a prime time pack or something. And then when you completed all 3 or 4 steps, like you got like a Tis the Season deluxe pack or like a Alter Ego deluxe pack or something. They took that away for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure. The one thing I will say is if you haven't done any of the Tatum stuff or you haven't done all the Tatum stuff and you plan on doing it at some point, it does expire in like 11 days, 12 days technically. So now the market is kind of interesting right now, and the reason I say that is because it just kind of is the hold on. So they took away the Hoff badge balls, by the way. If you guys are not familiar with that, they took those away. So if you have any of these in your collection, they are worth a decent amount of MT because they're not earnable anymore. So I don't know if they're ever going to bring those back, but I mean, if they do, you can just go pick them back up at this point. So if you have any of these balls not locked in for the Hoff badge, which, the Hoff badge I got was like not very good. I think it was a volume shooter or something. I would recommend selling these, maybe not right now, but hold off on it because they will be expensive at some point. Something to think about. Because people are going to want that Hoff badge, especially when like big name cards like Bull and stuff start coming out. Like they're going to want additional Hoff badges. So especially if somebody hasn't locked these in and is going to want to do that later, like they will pay for the opportunity. When you think about it, if someone were to draw like a Bull card that's going to go for 2 million MT if it's badged up properly, people are going to pay 50K to get an additional Hoff badge to slap on it. You know what I mean? So it's worth keeping an eye on those. Like it's not like these signature series event cards. Like no one's paying for these at this point. Like there's some that are kind of worth something to a certain extent, but I promise nobody is paying for these. Like the fact that this card is super rare, not even rare, but just there's not very many of them out there and there's still only like 1,000 MT is very indicative of what's happening here. You can still get some okay MT for the Jameson ones because he's still like relatively usable, but it's still not even really worth your time. Like even the expensive ones like Durant's, Like they're 60K. So if you have them and you haven't locked them in, I recommend selling them. But you know, I think let me see if the rare ones up here are even worth anything. I don't even think there's very many of these left, if there's any at all. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna buy it for 29K, but I mean, if you have it, put it up. You know what I mean? All right. Converse shoes are very expensive at the moment, to a certain extent. It's worth looking at your shoe collection. Make sure to only sell shoes when a player comes out that requires those shoes. The one thing I will say is it's not going to be long before 2K drops a Dark Matter Kawhi Leonard. I promise it's not going to be that long. So maybe stock up on some New Balance shoes if you can. If you see some for going for really, really cheap, you know, these Omnis never really go for very much. Might not be a bit like a terrible idea to invest in those. It might take a while for that to pay off, but when it does, it will pay off quite a bit. You know what I mean? So just kind of think about that. Uh, Under Armour as well. They've been dropping Curries like crazy this year, so you never really know. Badges. Now, the badge market is really, really, really low right now, and the reason for that is because we got Evo cards. No one can badge up the cards, so no one's really hunting for badges. So everyone's selling their badges at a very low price at the moment. So, which I can't show you because it decided to go out. So, give me a second. So yeah, badges are like significantly, now that it's working again, badges are significantly cheaper than they have been. Let's look at a couple that would be nice targets to pick up that will probably be going for a lot if you can get them for cheap enough. Sniper's still kind of expensive, but it's definitely lower than what it's going to be in a couple weeks. That's kind of a judgment call as far as if you want to invest on that. Rim Protector would be another one that I would recommend looking at. You can get it for cheap enough. I mean, inevitably, we're going to get a point guard that needs Rim Protector. So the price is going to skyrocket for these because it's still a sought after badge. You know, it's still 3K, but you never really know. Limitless spot up is something I would recommend if you can get one cheap enough. Like I got this silver limitless spot up for like 5K, which was a deal. I bought a bunch of silver clamps too because silver clamps is super low right now. I'm not saying it's, you know, for sure, but 1300 MT for clamps, chances are I'm going to be able to make that MT back. So I'm going to take a flyer on that. You know what I mean? Maybe I only sell it for 1800 when it comes to that. Maybe. Quick first step would be another one. Like if you can get them for cheap enough, like 1100 for quick first step, yeah, I'm probably going to be able to make my MT back on that for sure. 950, yeah, I'm going to buy this for 950. Come on, like these may not be the best prices in the world, but when a inevitable ball handling center comes out that doesn't have quick first step, yeah, I mean, you're going to be able to come up on that one. Silver Sniper is always expensive, so take a look at that. If you see one that's significantly lower than market value, you definitely want to pick that up. Deadeye is another one that cards typically don't have at this stage. You know, that's one of the shooting badges that are left off. You got to think about the ones that are left off. The ones that are left off are typically like range. Since they split it in two now, they'll usually leave one off now. The card will either have Chef or Limitless. It's rare when they have both of them. 89,000, nice. So if you see it for a decent price, definitely want to pick it up. Hyperdrive's always a good one. A lot of people have these stashed up though, so you might not make too much MT off of these. It just depends. But if you see one for like 600 MT, you know, you got to cop it because it will. Intimidator's another one. Like if you see Intimidator for low, you definitely want to pick that up for sure. I don't think it'll be long before that badge starts to go up. Hot Zone Hunter is going to be another one that like is going to be cheap. I sold off all my Hot Zone Hunters a while ago for like 3,000 MT a piece. So I'm going to sit here and pick some up for 600. This will pay off at some point. I'm not sure when it's going to pay off, but even if I'm selling these things for 1,000 MT, like I'm coming up off of that a little bit. Catch and shoot's always a good one too. A lot of the big men don't have catch and shoot, especially when they first drop. You know, someone like Wilt didn't. Does he have catch and shoot? I don't know if he does. Wilt's a very good example because guys who are quote unquote aren't shooters will tend to not have some of these badges when they drop. So let me take a look at Wilt. Wilt does not. So and that's like the first badge you want to add to anyone, like as far as like big men, especially like power forwards. Like Mo Lucas was a very good example of this. Like you wanted to add corner specialist, catch and shoot to some of these guys. Blinders is always a good one too. If you can see any of those that are going for really low, it's never a bad idea to pick those up. Anything else, like, yeah, handles for days for sure. If you can get handles for low enough, this is typically a badge people will add to cards. So, 1500, like, I'll probably make my MT. This is actually what they'll be going for sometimes. So it's rare that that happens, especially at this stage in the game. Interceptor, you just want to look for all these badges, and if you see one that looks like the price might be a little too good to be true, then you might want to pick that up. Like, I'll spend 1,000 MT and take a flyer on a couple of these interceptors. Like, it's not a bad idea. I probably won't make too much MT off of that, but it's possible that I do. So you just want to be mindful of what for an absolute fact will be going for a decent amount of MT, and then you want to take flyers on some of those badges for sure. Shoe boosts as well. Shoe boosts are still kind of like up right now because that's basically the only thing you can put on these cards that came out. So, now looking at cards themselves that are down, I always recommend, if you have a card you like that's not the most meta card in the world, or that you can buy for a buyout, somebody you still use, like during times of market downturn, especially on Fridays when packs come out, it's never a terrible idea to go look for a quote unquote swap. You know what I mean? Like, let's say I have Jeremy Lin, right? And I'm like, okay, well, my Jeremy Lin's okay, but like this one has an unlimited shoe and a badge added to it, and it's about the same as market value. I'm going to make that swap all the time. If I'm only losing like 600 MT to make my player better, I'm going to do it, every single time. I really don't badge out cards anymore. What I usually do is just wait for the market to crash a little bit, and then I go pick them up. Like, this one's got an additional Hoff badge. It's just clutch shooter, but has an unlimited shoe and an unlimited contract too, for about the same as the rest of them are going for. I might lose like 2,000 MT on that. I personally think that's worth it. So if it's a card that you plan on using and you're going to be using, at least in some capacity, whether that be offline or online, like, it's not a bad idea to go do this. I do this pretty much every single Friday. Do I ever make MT off of it? Yeah, sometimes, for sure. Not very often, but like sometimes I will. Like, if I sold my John Wall right now, I would make a profit because I bought him for like 11K with 11 Hoff badges. So chances are I could throw him up for at least 10 to 15K over market value, and chances are he would sell, right? Might take a while, but it's possible that he would sell at that point. So it's definitely something to look at, especially when it comes to cards like Andre Karolinko, for example. Like, AK is ridiculous, right? Everybody loves AK, so it's not like this one's mint, which doesn't mean anything, but it's the same price as pretty much all the rest of them. There's a lot of unlimited contracts, a lot of unlimited shoes. I guarantee you can find some with Hoff badge editions. Like, is it worth spending 75K for this one that's got the additional Hoff badges? Well, it has limitless spot up, so it actually might be, to be honest. Like, that's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, limitless spot up and clutch shooter are what's on this one. So maybe that's worth it to you. I don't think it's probably the best idea, but this one's 59. That's pretty much what the rest of them are going for, right? And I think they just gave them limitless. Wait, rhythm shooter. Why was I saying limitless? I don't know. But this one's got 11 Hoff badges. Like, I don't think it's just Worm though. It's not really that great. But you just want to check in on all these. Never know when you can get a come up. You can find out a card that is significantly better than the one that you have. Porzingis being a good example. Now let me talk about the level up cards. Thurl Bailey is obviously worth going and grabbing. I've talked about him a lot. Wilt Chamberlain and Paul George are way too expensive. Ben, if you want Ben, cool. He's going to be good, but I recommend everybody pick up Derek Anderson, especially if you're trying to run a Spurs team, like an all Spurs team for Spotlight Sims. There is a possibility we get those this week. We don't know. He'll be very helpful for that. The Spurs have been kind of a hard team to fill out this year. Q Rich, too. There hasn't been a whole lot of Suns players, so he's not a bad one to pick up. Like Chuck Nevitt, I know it sounds stupid, but if you're trying to build the squad, not terrible. It's always never a bad idea to pick up Charlotte players because you just don't know, truly. Like, it's difficult to fill those teams up. So you could see some squads go up. The Heat are always a really hard team to fill out too, for whatever reason. Same with the Clippers. So grabbing a guy like Coutinho Mobley is not a bad idea. You just want to look for teams that are kind of harder to fill out. Memphis isn't that bad this year. We've gotten a lot of Memphis cards. Dallas is horrible to try to fill out this year. The Nets are pretty hard. The Bucks are always kind of difficult because they've been kind of a poverty franchise for a while, but they've had some of the greatest players of all time on their roster too at the same time. So those guys are always really expensive, and then the rest are kind of just like not very good. So grabbing like a Dante DiVincenzo will probably help you out a little bit in that capacity. Let's look at the soaring set. Yeah, Chris Anderson's a given. You kind of have to pick him up if Spotlight Sims are involved, and you have to do that because the Heat have like a very terrible history of big men outside of like Bosch and Morning. So, guys like that. It's important to go look. Clippers have a bad point guard history outside Chris Paul, so Bledsoe's not really a terrible guy to pick up, etc. So I might go, if we do get Spotlight Sims, or if I think we're probably going to get Spotlight Sims, I'm going to go through and do a whole video on that. But as always, it's been your boy Cheated Blues. I will see you guys later this week. I might still do a preview video, just kind of depends how I feel, and we'll see. So have a good day. Peace out. Enjoy your super fun bowl.